All right. So while we wait for other people to hop on, I am more than happy to go ahead and answer any questions that you may have. So what questions do you have about homeschooling?
Sometimes I feel like it's going too quick.
Mhm.
I don't know if there is a time limit on how long you should be homeschooling a child, or if it's just as is.
Yeah, and you said that your grandson is 6 years old?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so he should be in first grade, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so typically for first grade, they recommend about 1 hour of formal schooling per day if you're doing traditional schooling.
Yes, and actually we're doing 2 hours, so.
Okay, so you're actually doing more than what they recommend. So that's perfect.
Okay, good. Because I do know that his name is Caleb. He is very smart. He's already multiplying. He's dividing. So going over all, he's reading on his own as well. So going over things right now, I'm using Time for Learning program.
Okay.
This is things that I could tell that he's bored.
Yeah.
I do need to get a little more, something more challenging for him, because this is stuff that he knows already. And we went through this with kindergarten. He got very bored, but it was all virtual last year with him. But you could just tell he just kept saying, Nana, I know all of this. I know all of this.
Yeah, that is the trick, finding something that's appropriate for their level and that will be challenging enough, but not so hard that they feel frustrated like they can't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're doing Time for Learning, but you're looking for something a little bit more rigorous for him?
I think so. I want to try to give it a little bit longer, just to see if it'll start getting into things that he don't know. We're already on the 3rd week. I'm just curious to know if there are things that he don't know. I'm trying to wait it out. I'm thinking 1 more week and I should have, by then it should be things that I'm hoping he doesn't know.
So what is he interested in?
Numbers.
Okay.
Math. And Legos. Legos is a huge thing for him. That's all he does.
Wonderful.
All day, all night.
Legos are wonderful for their brain development and their fine motor skills. That's fantastic.
He lives and breathes Legos. He don't watch cartoons. He will watch YouTube and he will watch people build Legos. If he's not building his own, I have never seen anything like it. And if he's not doing that, he does we will read books and stuff. He likes to do multiplication cards to see how fast he can go.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It sounds like you really kind of set a good foundation for him, and you're just kind of trying to figure out how to find some math that's appropriate to where he's at. It sounds like he's doing well above first grade work. So
yes, he is, definitely.
That's wonderful. Had you ever thought about homeschooling before this?
I homeschooled 1 year, both of my kids.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter was in high school and my son was in 8th grade when we homeschooled, and it was just, we were moving. So I just thought maybe that would have been the best. And we got to the new place, and just to throw a child into a new school in the middle of the school, they were like, come on, Mom. So we ended up homeschooling. But then they took assessment tests to get into school the next year, passed with flying colors, and we're right where they belonged. So
that's awesome. That's wonderful. Did you have any other questions about homeschooling or anything you were curious about?
Scheduling. I know teachers make lesson plans. I don't know how to do that.
So I shared the video with you that is the introduction to homeschooling. And that was a really, really big shift for me. So I'm not sure if you know, I'm a public school teacher, but I have been homeschooling other people's families for over a decade, and I am my oldest daughter is 7, so I've been homeschooling her formally for the last 2 years, but I tell people we homeschool from birth, from the moment
Yes,
they're born, we're teaching them things and they're learning all the time.
absolutely.
And one of the biggest shifts for me in becoming a homeschool mom, when I first started, I kind of wanted to do like school at home, which sounds like it's something similar to what you're doing now, of like you're having a math, lesson for him, you're doing
Hmm.
reading. Do you have like a block or a schedule for the other classes too, or?
Yeah, we do language arts. We'll do social studies is not in time for learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought I don't want to call it a kit. I bought something off of Teachers Pay Teachers
Mm-hmm.
for first grade social studies.
Okay.
So we've been doing that. I've been doing getting involved in like field trips around my area and things like that with him. Just also
Wonderful.
to get the socialization with him.
Mm-hmm. Are you in
Um,
Maryland?
yes, I am.
Awesome.
Yes.
I have a group where we do like field trips and things on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you're not in that group, I can share the link with you. That way
Oh,
you can join us on any of the
please,
trips. Yeah, we have
please,
about
yes.
100 people that are in the group, and
Oh,
but of
wow.
course not everyone shows. So
Oh,
so
yeah.
sometimes it's more 20 people, sometimes it's just a handful of us, but it is nice to be able to get connected with people in our community. And I've tried really hard to create new places for us to go every single week. That was kind of my game that I played with COVID, was I want to explore new places in Maryland because I'm from here. So I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes when you're born and raised somewhere, you don't really look for, opportunities to kind of be a tourist where you live. And so
Yeah.
that was my my challenge to myself, was I was like, I want to go to a new park or a new site or a new museum or something every single week for the whole year. And so that's what I've been doing, and that's what we're still doing. So it's nice to kind of get out and explore we have pretty amazing resources in our area. So you're more than
We
welcome to
do.
join us for those.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Yes.
Yeah. But in regards to scheduling, so I started out kind of the same way of trying to schedule out the different subjects and kind of compartmentalize everything into, we'll do math for 20 minutes and then reading for 20 minutes, and then we'll do a break, and then we'll have
Yeah.
recess for 10 minutes or whatever. And so I really tried to kind of do school at home. But over the last couple of years, I started researching and learning more about something called natural learning or life learning. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay. Well, I would highly, highly recommend exploring that concept a little bit, but it basically comes from the idea that our children are born natural learners and that all of life is learning. And so we can't just kind of compartmentalize learning into this workbook or this curriculum or this program or this worksheet or whatever it is that you're doing. And because most of us, including myself, we go through the schooling system or a public school system, we kind of have that ingrained in us that learning looks like doing this worksheet or doing these multiplication tables or writing in this journal or completing this activity or getting this quiz. But when we start homeschooling and we come at it from a natural learning approach, I realized that was most important for me was not that my daughter would learn how to do all these things, but I really wanted her to hold on to her love of learning that she had. Because I would see kids that would come into kindergarten and first grade and they would be happy and excited about learning and curious and creative. And then somewhere around like third or fourth grade, it was like a switch almost went off in their brains that they just kind of
Right.
died. I don't know. Have you observed that before?
Yes, I've lived that before.
Oh, yeah, and it's so sad. And then I would see them in middle school and high school, and it was just like this apathy in them, like they just did not care, and that passion and that love of learning was gone. And so I've been learning that through the schooling system and trying to force children to learn things, that we actually kill their natural desires and their natural curiosity and creativity. And so So we actually do a life learning approach to homeschool. So we don't use any curriculum at all. We
Okay.
don't have any particular schedule. We don't compartmentalize classes in any sort of way, because I really truly believe that all of life is learning, and all of the learning that they do is valuable. So the learning that he's doing when he's playing Legos, that is
Yeah.
valuable learning. That is just as important as the time for learning. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I do. I do.
But it definitely was a huge mental shift for me as a teacher to kind of take off my teacher hat and to be able to see, okay, I don't have to plan or manipulate or force or control my daughter's learning in order for her to learn. She's learning
Right.
all the time, all day, every day, without, a lot of times even without me, you know, like she's
Oh
learning how to
yeah.
do things and she's teaching me things.
My
Um,
grandson teaches me every day.
Yeah, I mean, our children are brilliant. They're brilliant, they're resilient, and they don't need us to force and coerce their learning. And I think that the more that we can provide them with lots of opportunities to experience different things and to figure out the way that they learn best and what they want to learn about and they're excited about learning, we can continue to just feed that desire for them and that love of learning, which for me, that is the most important thing. I don't, you know, knowing how to read is nice, but if you know how to read and you don't care to read or you don't read,
Yeah.
what's the point, you know?
Exactly.
And so it really is a big shift in the way that we view, you know, school and learning and things like that. So I don't know if that answers your question about
No, it does.
scheduling.
It does. It does. And I'm as soon as we hang up, I'm definitely going to be looking at that video, and I want to do now research on that. So
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a huge shift in the way that to view learning. And in the video I talk about, you know, the importance of going through a process called deschooling, where we kind of unlearn all these things that we've been taught about what learning is or what learning is supposed to look like and what learning counts and what learning is matters, you know.
Mhm.
And I know that even for myself, I felt a lot of pressure and stress at the beginning to feel like, am I doing this right? You know, am I doing
Yeah.
enough? I don't know if you ever felt that way before, that you're like, oh gosh, you know, am I doing this right? I want to make sure you know, he's learning enough and he's getting
Yes.
everything he needs. And so I just want to encourage you that, you know, at the end of the day, if he is loved, which it sounds like he is, if he is happy and healthy, like that is more than enough. And we can trust that he's going to continue to grow in his love for learning and his own unique path. He will be able to chart that out. And it's not something that we have to force him to do or threaten him to do or bribe him to do, or anything like that. It's something that he will want to do because all human beings love to learn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. That was a wonderful, wonderful question. I think that will be really helpful to the people that will be watching this back.
I appreciate that, because I definitely got a whole different view of it now. So
Mhm. Yeah. Did you have any other questions about homeschooling that I could answer for you?
no, that was it. Those were the two main ones I wanted to know.
Okay, good. All right. Well, if you didn't have any other questions, it looks like no one else has hopped on for tonight.
Okay.
But I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and watch that video. And if there's anything else that I can do to help or support you in your learning, actually, I'm going to share with you um, the link as well for our Facebook group. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. So I'll go ahead and put the link for our Facebook group on there. And that way you can get connected to all of our like field trips and events and stuff. And hopefully we'll get to meet you and your grandson in person.
You absolutely will, because we love doing field trips.
Yes, me too. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the life learning approach, because I feel like, you know, if I have a choice between doing a boring worksheet about something or like
Yes.
going somewhere in real life, I'm like, I would much rather go somewhere in real life. I'm like, I don't
Yes.
ever want to like, you know, sit down and do this worksheet about the ocean. No, let's go to the ocean, you know?
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I went ahead and put the group for you in the chat. And then anyone who's watching this recording, I'll go ahead and put it in the description of the video so you can also join in if you'd like to join us for any of our trips. This year we're going on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.